Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gender of Sex podcast. And I'm Janvi Sharma.
And I'm Shreya Vishwanath Basu.
This is episode 2. And today we're going to basically be talking about the evolution of female friendships and how we've navigated them throughout the years from childhood up until now. Yeah.
So let's just dive into it. I think last time we went a lot of context about our friendship, and this time we'll delve into it and others a little bit more. So why don't you start, Janvi?
Yes. So, Shreya, my first question to you is, um, can you tell me a little bit more about your experience on how you navigated female friendships growing up in India? Whether it's school, whether it's any people surrounding you, and then obviously we can sort of move on to talking about how those friendships have again evolved, or how your friendships have evolved with other women or other girls at different stages of your life.
Yeah. And I think we were just talking about it before we started the podcast. We're a little anxious to address this topic because I think we don't talk about female friendships enough, even though it's such a big and defining part of our lives. I think my friendships with women especially have really defined so much of my personality, so much of who I am. And I think one of the things we mentioned last time was about how female friendships that sometimes start with disliking the other person.
Yeah, a bit rocky or
maybe
bit of apprehension.
Yeah, maybe it's because you have similar traits. Maybe, there's some mirroring there that doesn't work out. So I think a lot of my female friendships in school were competitive in my head. They were not outwardly competitive, but it was always, there was that element of it where we were like, oh, if you've done this, oh, I could also do this, or yeah, even I can do that. I've had like small, very small, but they become big fights with my female friends in school, because we wanted to one up each other, because we also saw, I think, the best in ourselves and the best in each other together. I think that was a really interesting thing for me to see. Also had that, the I'm not like other girls.
We've all had that.
Yes, and maybe I've not said it as much, but I definitely like imbibed it in school, because from ninth grade onwards, I selected more apparently male-oriented subjects, because I took computer science, and I took science and computers again in 11th and 12th. So it was always like 90 to 95% boys in my class and 5 to 10% girls. So you always think, oh, I'm like a guy's girl, I get along more with them. And this is not for attraction or any romantic interest. I just thought I had more friends who were guys. All my tuitions had only men or boys, because girls don't go for science tuition as much.
No,
at least not when I was going.
Girls are not smart enough to do math.
So that's the and math, by the way, side note, my favorite subject. Okay, so I really hate when people say that. So I think that also defined me a little bit. I did have friends who were, of course, girls in school as well, in different classes. But honestly, most of them haven't stuck till now, because I wasn't sure of who I was, trying to fit in, but never figuring myself out. And I really love seeing the journey of the female friends I had in school, because they're all still friends, and they are all such amazing women now. It's just they're not a part of my active life, and I'm not a part of their active lives. And it was a conscious thing I changed when I went to college. How was it for you?
Just to sort of follow up with you before I talk about some bit of my experience, do you think a lot of that happened the way that you mentioned, that it was not organic for you to still sort of have those friendships stay outside of school? Do you think it was a lot because of the school environment that you were in? Do you think it was because there was some sort of like an expectation to fit in or have a certain kind of image in school with respect to being someone's female friend or having a female friend?
I actually don't think I can blame it on the environment or the school, because like I said, I see so many of those women are still really good friends and big supporters of each other. It's mostly just me that's not a part of it. So it's an internal expectation and internal adjustment that you do. But I think I set myself up for failure by trying to be, I'm very mature. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I have advice all the time. And just getting stuck in that loop of wanting to grow up faster than you are.
Okay.
And
That's fair.
I think I got stuck in that, and that's a me specific
Yeah.
problem, which
Okay.
I have understood, addressed, and worked on. Okay, so let's say I'm better now, girls. You can be
Yeah.
my fan.
I can vouch for
Yeah.
that.
So what has it been like for you? Because I know that
Um,
your school girls gang is
yeah.
still your core friend
Yeah.
group. So
Yeah.
it's different experiences, and I want to know about
So
that.
that way, I think I've been really blessed because my school best friends are some of my closest friends even now, and I'm not saying we got there because it was easy.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've put in time, effort, energy in maintaining those relationships, and now obviously we're at that stage in our life where we've experienced everything from sitting exams to having boyfriends to moving across the world. Within school, I had a pretty similar experience to you in terms of obviously, like, it wasn't all like that, but yes, it was pretty much part of it. Like, yeah, I mean, I think we all internalize the idea that it's cooler to have, brag about the fact that you may have more boyfriends, like guy friends, than girlfriends. And also, this whole idea that, oh, I'm not like other girls that you
Mm.
mentioned. And I think that's obviously a very problematic way of looking at things. But when you're a kid, when you're surrounded by so many people who are similar age, there's sort of certain, I think there's certain expectations that come with being a prepubescent or a kid in their teens in school.
Yeah.
You're expected to behave a certain way, you're expected to sort of navigate friendships a certain way. And I think I myself have pretty much been very guilty of saying, like, oh, I'm not like other girls, because I wanted to sound cool to
Mm.
other people, and to make myself stand out, I guess. And I think one of the funny bits was that I have never been much of a sports watcher or player.
Mhm.
I did play a little bit of football in school, but I was like, what, 13, 14 years old. But I felt like, oh my God, it's so cool. I'm doing something that's not typically feminine, even though I was in an all girls team, which, made me feel like I was standing out and making myself more appealing to a
Mm.
set of boys. I did not think of it so rationally at the time, but now that I think back, this whole idea of being validated by someone you think is cute, or, wanting that attention, that you sort of end up putting, not your friends, but like, you want to make yourself stand out from the
Yeah.
girl group, towards boys, or whether it's teachers, or like you said, one upping
And
someone
I think
else. And I think, yeah,
somewhere we're always thinking that we have to internally, this has been a thought for me, I don't know about you, let me not generalize, that we need to attract, like I want to be cute or attractive
yeah,
for the men around me, not
yeah,
so much anymore, but in school
yeah,
especially, because you're still, learning about your body, then you're
yeah,
figuring things out,
absolutely,
and you're under the impression that, but my girlfriends will just be there,
yeah,
right? But that's not the case. I think
no,
over the years what I've learned is friendships are like relationships, and if you don't put in the effort, they're not going to last,
absolutely, I completely
you
agree with
know
that.
I wanted to ask you
Yes,
something which you can segue into
yeah,
also. How have your conversations with your friends been,
yeah.
your female friends, over the years? And how has it potentially helped you identify your personality or learn about your personality or, become who you are? Because it's done that for me. And I
Yeah,
want to talk about those female friendships and female sensitive conversations
yeah.
that we potentially have.
So I think some of those conversations we still have to date. I guess they're just in different contexts.
Yeah.
But I think if I were to talk about female specific conversations that I had with my female friends, some close, some with not so close female friends, I think they all um, touched on anything to do with our bodies, in terms of looks,
Mm.
in terms of body hair, right? In terms of obviously, like, because we like to dress up, we like to go out, we like to party. Even when we were younger, we would obviously have get-togethers and stuff.
Yeah.
But there was always this period of time when suddenly, right, everyone in school, like all the girls, were either getting their eyebrows done or their upper lips done or their getting their bodies waxed. And it was not like a solo experience, it was a collective experience that everyone was sort of going through.
Yeah.
Because when you reach a certain age, right, in puberty, you start thinking about, oh my God, right, this is not baby hair anymore, I don't like it on my body. But obviously, like, having body hair is more normalized
Yeah.
for guys than it is for girls. So there was this whole stream of conversations that were talking about, oh my God, I actually got my legs waxed for the first
Mm.
time. And someone was like, oh my God, was that painful? So I think talking about and navigating our own bodies was a big part of those conversations. I'm not saying they were, always healthy conversations, but
No.
we all sort of lived that collectively. And
Yeah.
I remember telling some of my friends, female friends, who did not have that much trouble with their body hair, like, oh, I'm so jealous because you don't have to get waxed, you don't have to endure the pain to look a certain way, to look pretty, to have silky legs. Yeah, I think, and the second big conversation was to do with menstruation. Because all of us sort of got our periods at a different stage in our lives, obviously, because between 11 and 13, 14, that's the period when, people get their period. Yeah, I think having those conversations, oh, have you got your period yet? How does it feel? Because obviously it's a novelty when you're a teenager, when it just starts, right? And yeah, I think for me, I got my period at a fairly, like, not early age, but within the bracket, it was the earlier end of the bracket. So I was asked a lot of questions about how it feels. Initially, I didn't want to tell too many people as well, because I'd internalized the whole idea that, oh, is it something that's not normal? Is it, was I supposed to wait for a few more years to get my period, and I wasn't able to get it? So yeah, I think that was something that sort of stuck with me. But I think the biggest thing that I think female friendships as the collective face is that no matter whether or not you know someone in your class, you don't know them, it doesn't matter. If you ask someone for a pad, they will always give it to you. Nobody has ever said no to me for a pad, ever. Sad part was that we had to do it in hush hush tones and hide it in our bags, and make sure our skirts aren't stained, which is sad, because why should we be shamed for having a period? But I think that was a core bonding moment, whether or not you knew them, whether or not they were from a different class. If somebody needed a pad, everyone got together to make sure they got that bloody pad.
The pad I would give, but you asked me for an extra pen. Sorry, my mother said I cannot give a pen to anybody else.
Oh, I can't share my water bottle. Yeah,
I can't give you my color pencils, because, and you will always just blame it. My parents said I can't share. Why would my parents have ever said
they
that?
don't even.
But the number of times I've heard that, you don't share all of those things. But pad is, let's go. I think maybe coming back, just going over that a little bit, with body hair and my conversations with my friends about it. So I don't have much body hair. Okay, I don't.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I'm one of those girls, and I thought, I don't know what I thought about women with more body hair, to be honest. I don't remember having a view about it, but I never had to get the threading, the eyebrows, the upper lip. And I got waxed. Okay, and I started getting waxed in 8th grade. I mean, that's so young when you think about it. But I started. And I don't know if you remember, when you get waxed, they say half leg or full leg.
Full leg.
So I started with half leg, which is just till above your knee. And I really didn't have that much hair on my thighs. So I was okay with it, And I remember I was sitting like in my building complex with this friend of mine. I was like, yeah, I got my waxing done half leg. She's like, only half leg? I was like, yeah, but it doesn't really show. And then she literally stared at my thigh for a couple of seconds. She's like, no, there's a hair there. You should have gotten it done.
Oh my God.
And so someone said that to me. They're like, oh, you should have. And it was a woman who said you should get it done, because she was getting her full leg wax. And it's also probably because, again, coming back to the spirit of competitiveness that women inherently carry with each other from a young age. It changes with time. Now I'm very much only supporting my female friends. But at that time, I think for her it was like, why should you only get to do a half leg wax?
Yeah.
That's not good enough. So that was, I think, one experience I have with body hair. Listen, I did it for a while. I did the whole waxing thing, but then I stopped. I think I did it for about 6 years. I was like, enough. Who am I doing this for? I'll figure it out, It's too painful. It never got less painful for me. I think for other people, they have more pain endurance. I am not one of those people. But then with the menstruation, I got my period late. And like you, at the end of that bracket, I was 13 and a half. And I genuinely thought something's wrong with me. So when I got my period, and of course my friends had it and they were talking about it. But again, you don't talk about it. You just say, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down.
And I need a pad. That was the whole conversation. So I remember when I got my period, I actually cried a little bit. I was so happy. I'm like, okay, I'm a normal girl, But I didn't talk to anyone about it. The way I told my female friends was just one of the times when I had my period and I didn't even need to change a pad. I'm like, hey, do you have a pad?
Yeah.
Because that's how I've told them.
Yeah.
So there were some of these conversations for me, I was comfortable talking about it, but I didn't know. I guess I wasn't 100% comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
And how to do those.
Yeah.
How to have those conversations.
It's just so sad that, like 11, 12, 13-year-old girls are thinking about, talking to their female friends, and there's a level of hesitancy in having a certain conversation that you want to have with them, but you feel like you can't. And I think it's crazy the way socialization works.
Yeah.
Because it's not like these ideas have been spoon fed to us, but they still have been fed to us, whether it's through media, whether it's through conversations. And I think it was crazy because we had those similar opinions collectively.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was a one off.
No.
And
Yeah.
I can see those ideas changing now.
Yeah.
The socialization pretty much still exists, but people are questioning it.
Yeah.
We're trying to move away from it. We're trying to break that
Yeah.
barrier.
And I see it in women, like younger girls now.
Yeah.
I also sound like I'm 100 years old by saying younger
I think
girls.
we are 100
Okay,
years old.
like I'm saying younger girls, girls in school. Okay, it's like my cousin, my younger cousin sister. She's now 18, so she's just finished school.
Yeah.
I've just had such a great time talking to her because
Yeah.
I'm like, I was not this woke.
I guess aware.
Woke. Be
Yeah,
woke.
woke.
Janvi, say the word.
Yeah.
I was not this aware at that age. Like I didn't have this, like her level of rationality or
Yeah.
logical thinking. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, if I had that, would I be a different person?
Yeah, probably. I guess it's.
I mean, I don't know better or worse
No.
for me personally, but you can see like she knows things I only learned when I was 25.
Yeah.
So I think that was.
I totally believe that. Like, I think it's. Also, I guess now when I look at school kids, right, they look way older than we looked because we just look like little kids and they don't always look like little kids.
Talking about how we dress and how we look at certain ages is a whole other
conversation,
which we will get into. But maybe let me get to this next question that I have for you, which is, where are you now with female friendships? What are your female friendships like now? What do they play in your life?
Yeah.
And what do they play in your life given that you are in a serious long-term relationship? So, when you are in one of those, it's easy to just be like, that's my person.
Yeah.
I have someone.
Yeah.
But I know you have still maintained your friendship with your female friends. So what does that add in your life? And how much do you love, hate, tolerate it?
I absolutely love it. I think, like I mentioned before, I've been super, super blessed to have had like some of my closest friends even now are my girlfriends from school, and we are still very tight. We just in fact went on a little holiday this year
Spain,
to
right?
Spain. Yes, it was really good. And among other things, obviously, and that is probably the first holiday we've taken in 20 years of knowing each other, I think. But apart from that, I think doesn't matter what part of the world we're at because we're all scattered at the moment. And, I think it's, I think it's still the same because we know it's not going to change no matter how old we get. We've been through a lot, as do all friendships. But I think we've been able to navigate that with each other. But I think what's interesting is that when I came to the UK, right, or even before that, when I went to Ashoka, I was obviously scared because I was an adult by that time and I was an adult here. And it is true, it's not a cliche that it is easier to make friends when you're a kid, especially female friends, because obviously who doesn't want female friendships in their life, right? I think that I was quite apprehensive about being able to make friends as a full-fledged adult, especially when I moved here to a whole other country. I obviously I did expect to make friends, but it was not the easiest, right? Because obviously, like, I did have two really close friends here, and then obviously I met more people, yourself included, and this was a friendship that I didn't expect would happen at all. Because like you mentioned, I think we were two in the beginning clashing personalities, but then when we sat down to have a conversation, it just clicked. And I'm really, really grateful because everyone talks about like childhood friendships, and I think they're very, very important, especially for girls. But I also think that the friendships you make as adults sort of are a whole other ball game. Because you experience a different level of life together, and a different obviously phase of your life
without the background and context of what you've already been through. Those are just stories that you're now telling in hindsight. And hindsight is the most powerful tool.
Absolutely. And I think obviously, like, I don't have the exact same opinions I did as a kid, right? They are way more sort of critical, nuanced. It's from experience. I'm learning how to question. I'm learning how to sort of understand the nitty-gritties behind why we think a certain way. So obviously those friendships would include more sort of I don't know, obviously I like to believe that I'm an adult, so slightly more mature conversations, which I've been able to have with my school friends as well, because we've sort of gone to that path together. But yeah, I do think that having adult female friendships is as important, if not more, as having childhood female friendships, because no matter what, you always need your girlfriends to navigate life, and you need them to, because they just understand you. They just understand you without words.
When we start talking about the actual issues all women have gone through when we don't know it, that advice and that this acceptance and acknowledgement is so important. My mom had actually said this thing to me when I was, I don't know, maybe 20 something, and she didn't say it as like a sit down conversation. She was just telling me, because she has many very incredible female friends, but she has a group of 4. She's a part of a group of 4 from her undergrad times, and they still take vacations together. They hang out, they talk all the time, and she told me that your girlfriends are really at the end of the day who you're going to go to when something happens. And I don't think I understood the full impact of what your girlfriends can do for you in school.
Absolutely.
Or maybe I didn't give it the importance it deserved, but from college onwards I have. And it's such a big game changer for me, because now I have girlfriends across the world, from different stages of my life, who are going through different stages of their life. So advice comes in such varied forms, and conversations come in such varied forms. Like I can go with the same problem to 4 different friends of mine, and they will have 4 different bits of advice, but all catered to the kind of person I am. Right? So my friends have also taken the time to get to know me, and that's what time and perspective gives you. And so girlfriends really, they critique you and challenge you just as much as they love you. Which is not something I think I've gotten from my male friendships as much. I think male friendships are more for the men. Like, they want, because it's a lot of the stereotype that men can't talk to each other about their feelings. And I hope it's changing. I hope it's better. But at a time like, men can talk to women more about their problems. But what about the women? And that's something you get from your female friendships. And so thank you to Janvi. Thank you to all my female friends who may potentially be watching this episode. But I love it. Those conversations are the reason that so much of my life is manageable.
No, absolutely. And I think I know we've talked about like school, but a bit more about my experience. I was very lucky to also have at least like 2 3 of my absolute besties even outside of school. Like when we talked about the fact that you're in school, you spend time with them, and then you go back home. But I had 2 or 3 of them very very close, who I'm still very very close to. I consider them to be my sisters, who I was able to spend all my time with. And I think sometimes I was able to talk to them about life and things that I probably couldn't even talk to about my parents with, and like one of them, right? I've known her since she was 6 years old and I was 7 or 8. And in the beginning, right? So we were part of like this larger friendship group. And she was close to this other person. And then I came in, and then she and I started getting closer. And then there was a time where the other girl and I had an actual massive fight over this other friend of mine, who I am like obviously inseparable with right now. And it was so funny because, it was kind of like there was not like a concept of ownership, but it was like, oh, I want her to be my best friend. Why is she your best friend? And we could all have been friends, but it was just a matter of, asserting the idea that, actually this whole idea that, not all girls can always be friends. But I disagree with that, because we can.
And and that's something we genuinely thought when we were younger. Like, you don't want your friends to become friends.
I know, because there was a jealousy, and I was like, no, I want to be the important person. I want you to be the important person in my life, in your life, and that's it. Like,
but the growth is what matters, because now if all my friends are free, if some of them are free, I'm like, guys, let's all go out, because if I like you and you like me, you will like my friends as well. Because now my friends are a selected group of people who I have trusted with my life, and with my secrets, and with just my experiences, and they've done the same. So I know for a fact that anybody who is my friend as of today, men and women actually, they will all get along with each other. And if there's one random person who doesn't, I will actually question that friendship. I'll be like, what am I missing here? Over the years, many friendships in my life have faded. So now I know the ones that are there are standing strong. You know?
So carrying forward from what you said about your mom and how she sort of brought into your life the whole notion of female friendships and how important they are, I can totally relate to it because growing up, and even now, like my mom has some of her besties who are all girls, and she's got different groups, but some of them she's obviously grown up to
Yeah.
because it's when we lived in a certain apartment complex, and I was a kid, like 4 or 5 years old, and my mom was obviously in her 30s, late 20s at the time, and so they were making female friendships. That was
At the
similar.
age we are in now.
Yeah, literally. And then their kids were making female friendships
Mm.
with each other, and that's how I was able to make some of my closest female friendships. And
Yeah.
it's like it's my mom and her best friend, and then it's her daughter and me.
Yeah.
And similar with my dad. Like my dad, obviously he's a guy, but his
Is he? Wow.
his friend's daughter and I. So like it's quite it's quite yeah, I feel quite grateful for it. Because I think all of those friendships have sort of sustained, and
Yeah.
seeing my mom be a gal pal, and she is,
Yeah.
I'm sure, like you, our OG,
The OG gal
OG gal pals,
Like
the
you-
OG besties.
Yeah. I think I may not tell my mom everything in real time, but until I don't tell her, it's not real.
Yeah, I
for
know.
me.
I agree.
That's the thing. I can push time by waiting to tell
Yeah.
her a little bit, but that's the main friend. She has to know everything.
Yeah, and yeah, she is the OG bestie.
Yes. Well, now moving into a little bit of a fun section, I have some questions for you.
Yes.
So we can just
hit
break
me.
down our views on female friendships. What do you love, hate, and tolerate? Posh, posh, bigosh. About female friendships.
Okay. What I love is that there's no judgment ever. It's a free space. You can be who you are. You can be real. What I hate is that I don't have enough, even though I have a lot,
Yeah.
but you can never have enough female friendships.
Yes.
And what I tolerate is the fact that now we're all adults and we have to spend time apart from each other. There's distance, there's complications. But despite that, we still live on and thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm going to ask you the same question.
Ooh. Okay. I think I love, and it'll be similar to yours. I love the support. It's
Yeah.
unconditional.
Yeah.
And I love that. I hate the fact that we were competitive.
Yeah, at some point.
I think I feel like we've had to figure out a lot about female friendships because we've had that competitive streak as women and girls. And I tolerate our menstrual cycles because if we talk about some problems on your second week of your cycle, by the fourth week, that's not the advice you needed. And I have spent time giving it to you, or you have done the same for me. So I tolerate that about all of us because, see, if we live together, we'll sync. We're on similar phases of life. But you're doing long distance friendships and best friendships and female friendships. It's difficult. Sometimes I have actually, quick story. My friend called me once and she was talking about how stuff with her partner was not going well, or she was having some problems. And I listened, and then I really just asked. I'm like, when is your period coming? Because then it matters.
Yeah.
I think women, we do 4 different personalities every month. We do not get enough credit for it.
And also, like, even if you do suggest something to your best friend or any of your female friends, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to follow your advice and do the exact opposite of what you told them.
Yeah.
Just because. But that's okay. It's part of having female friends. Quick next question. Let's talk about like movies or like media, right? Or TV shows. What is one online, for lack of a better word, media friendship that you always wanted to be a part of or always wanted to have?
Yeah, so I'm sure there are many more now that I could talk about, but I think when I was a kid and watching stuff, it was Friends.
Of course.
And I have a clear example of which one it is. It's the episode where Rachel is moving in with Phoebe because Monica is going to stay there and Chandler's moving in with her. And they are just fighting about the packing and different things because they're not emoting correctly, so they're just fighting with each other. And Phoebe is able to bring them to realize that. And then Monica goes and sits on Rachel's lap and says, and now I have to live with a boy. And I'm like, yeah, you can just be that vulnerable. You'll get that angry with them. You'll get, that annoyed and that much love all in the same 35 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of female friendship. Which I also, when I saw that, I was like, that's what I want. Yeah.
I know.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the same question, but with a twist.
Okay.
What is a female friendship that you saw in TV or movie form as a child that you thought was amazing, but now you're like, no bueno?
Okay. Gossip Girl, Serena and Blair.
Yes.
I think when I watched it, honestly, I wasn't that young when I watched it for the first time. I was probably like late teens, but still, that was probably like 10 years ago when I watched it for the first time. So yeah, it was a while ago. So yeah, I was like, oh my god, yeah, you know, like I understand female friendships, they're hard, you know, it's back and forth, and
It's all about fighting
you
and
know, and yeah,
competition.
and clearly, like I think I also obviously had some of those ideas that they displayed on screen, and it was pretty, you know, relatable at the time. But now that I'm older and hopefully wiser, I think that friendship was pretty toxic. It was based on putting each other down, and it was based on a matter of convenience, and if and when, you know, whoever wants to show up, they will, but not because they want to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no.
Yes. Well, okay. Clearly, we know a lot about female friendships.
Do we?
Yeah, we're going through it. We're living it.
We're
We're
living it.
we're going through it, and I think
Yeah,
I can speak for the both of us very confidently to say that we're very, very lucky
we are really, really
to have the
lucky.
female friendships that we have and each other.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And
please,
this is
yes,
not us calling out names of all our female friends, but you know who you are,
yeah,
and we love you, and thank you for being a part of our
everything.
lives
Yes,
and for, yeah, sort of taking up with us
yeah.
and dealing with everything.
So like, share,
And
and
subscribe.
subscribe, and we will see you next time.